In this video, we'll talk about multiplying polynomials. Let's take a look at this example. A minus 2 times x squared times minus 2 times negative x to the third. First of all, we can simplify this by multiplying all the coefficients together. Equal negative 2 times negative 2. We see this one. We can combine together, right? And then we put x squared here and minus x to the third right here. Minus 2 times minus 2, you got 4 x squared. And we see this is actually negative 1 times x to the third. And we put 4x squared down right here, right? We see this term, they are actually the product of two numbers, negative 1 times x. So number 3 right here, the power will apply to each term inside. So negative 1 to the third times x to the third. Negative 1 to the third is negative 1. Negative 1 times 4, you got negative 4. X squared times x to the third, you have x right here raised to the 2 plus 3, because you see x here is the base and 2 is the power. X here is the base and 3 is the power. So when we multiply two exponents together, we keep the same base and then we add the power together. Equal negative 4 times x to the fifth. Let's work on question B. We have minus 10 times x to the third times minus x squared equal negative 10 x to the third times, we see inside the parenthesis we have negative 1 times x, right? Square. This is a product of two numbers, negative 1 and x. So the power of 2 outside right here will be applied to each term inside. So we have negative 10 times x to the third times negative 1 square times x square equal negative 10 times x to the third. Negative 1 square is negative 1 times negative 1. You got positive 1. Times x squared. We see positive 1 times negative 10, you got negative 10. Put it down right here. X to the third times x squared. We have the same base right here, right? Two exponents have the same base but different power. We put the base here and then the power we add them together. Now we have minus 10 times x to the fifth. Also, I want to remind you, negative x squared will be different than negative side right here and x squared. Why? Because let's see on the left hand side, what do we have? On the left hand side, we see this is a negative 1 times x, right? Raised to the power 2. And the right hand side, we see x times x, right? X times x. And you put negative sign right here. The power of 2 right here will be applied to each term inside right here. So we have negative 1 square times x square. And the right hand side is just x times x right here. Negative x times x. You see negative 1 square, you have 1. And then x square is x square. So we put x square. It is on the left hand side. You see this one and this one is the same. And you see on the right hand side is x squared and negative. Now we see on the left hand side is x times x, right? And then the right hand side is x times x and we have the negative, right? So they are not the same. This has a non-negative value since x squared always greater than or equal 0. However, minus x squared is always less than or equal 0. So they are different. For example, minus 2 square and minus 2 square. You see, this number 2 will apply to everything inside, to the negative side too. So you got negative 2 times negative 2, you got positive 4, right? But the power of 2 right here will apply only to number 2 right here. So you get 4 right here. but you have to keep the negative sign, right? So basically this is a positive 4 and this is negative 4. So they are different. Please keep this in mind. They're not the same. Let's work on question C. We have the quantity 2x plus 1 times the quantity 4x minus 1. We see here is two expressions multiplied together. The first step we need to do is we take the first term in the first expression. We multiply to each term in the second expression. So 2x times 4x, we write it down right here. And 2x times negative 1. We put it here. Next, we take the next term of the first expression, right? We multiply into each term of the second expression. So plus 1 times 4x plus 1 times negative 1. Now we have 2x times 4x, you get ax squared. 2x times negative 1, you got minus 2x plus 4x. 1 times 4x, you got 4x. 1 times negative 1, you got minus 1. Now we put ax squared down. We see 4x and minus 2x, they are like terms. So we can combine them together. 4x minus 2x, you got positive 2x. Minus 1, you put it down. And this is the final answer for this question. Let's work on question D. We have the quantity 2x squared minus 3x minus 1 times the quantity x squared plus x minus 1. First of all, we take the first term of the first expression. We multiply to each term of the next expression. 2x squared times x squared, we have 2 times x squared, right? Plus 2x squared times x right here. And 2x squared times negative 1. Next, we have to take the second term of the first expression is negative 3x. We'll let it multiply to each term of the next expression. Minus 3x times x squared. Minus 3x times x. Minus 3x right here times negative 1. Next, we take the last term of the first expression. We'll multiply to each term of the next expression. So negative 1 times x squared and negative 1 times x and negative 1 right here times negative 1. You have positive 1. Now 4x to the fourth right here plus 2 times x to the third. X squared times x is x to the third. Right here 2x squared times negative 1. You have negative 2 times x squared. Right here you see minus 3x times x squared is minus 3 times x to the third minus 3x squared. See, x times x is x squared right here. Minus 3x times negative 1, you got positive 3x right here, right? And then right here, negative 1 times x squared, you have negative x squared. This is negative 1 times x, you get minus x and plus 1. Now we're looking for the like terms to combine, right? So x to the fourth is the only one that has the 4 power. So we just leave it as it is. So 4 times x to the fourth right here, right? And you see x to the third, we have this term and this term. So we can combine them together. 2 minus 3, you got minus 1. Minus 1x to the third. And then x squared. Look at x squared. We see x squared here, and x squared here. They are like terms, so we can combine them together. So negative 2 minus 3 minus 1. Together you have minus 6 x squared. 3x and minus 1x together, you have 3 minus 1, you have 2x right here, right? And we put 1, this one and this one together, and 1 we put down. And it equal to 4x to the fourth, right here, put it down, minus x to the third, minus 6x squared plus 2x plus 1. And this is the result.